Welcome to your Chaturanga Dandasana tutorial video. In this video today, we're going to be going through the Chaturanga Dandasana pose and some helpful cues to create a more mindful and balanced pose. So this pose is part of all of our flow sequences, and we often do it repetitively and quickly. So there may not be time for the instructor to go through the pose and the alignment, and there may not be time for you as a student to really bring in that mindful movement to the pose. But having these cues will hopefully be able to create some muscle movement in the body to create a more balanced Chaturanga pose. So I'm going to go through 4 different features of the pose to help create that sense of alignment. But first I want to talk about the shoulder joint itself. So I'm just going to turn to the side here to show you a little bit of the anatomy of the shoulder. So we're going to be looking at our humerus, so the upper arm bone here, as well as our scapula, so the flat bone that sits along the back of our rib cage. And our shoulder joint is the most mobile joint in the body, and that means what we're looking for in our Chaturanga is a little bit more of that stability. So often our shoulders are in the position that I'm in now whenever we're sitting, so that could be seated anywhere, and often that's at a desk. So as you can see here, as I bring my arms forward, my shoulder is tilting a little bit more to the front versus back and along the back of my body here in this more upright, kind of straight spine position. So you can see the difference from just sitting here relaxed versus if my shoulders are a little bit back. And that's fine, the body is really adaptable, but as we do our Chaturanga repetitively, our body will often just sit towards the front of the shoulder joint, and we miss out on all the strength of what's happening in the muscles behind the shoulder. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. We'll go through the 4 cues here in a seated position. I'll talk you through it twice, so you can just watch the first time, and then the second time around you can feel it in your own experience. So in the seated position, I'm just going to bring my arms out in front, so they're just raised about shoulder height here, imagining like I'm in a plank pose here. And the first thing I'm going to do is hug the upper arm bone into the socket, so humerus into the socket. And it's really subtle, but I'm thinking about the upper arm bone going down and in. So you'll feel it have this kind of stable sensation, probably all around the shoulder and through the sides of the rib cage, if I think about this bone going down and in. So just subtlety, but we start to bring in that sense of awareness. You'll probably feel some muscle engagement. And then the challenge is we keep that through the rest of our cues here. So upper arm bone down and in, and then we're going to take our shoulder blades away from the spine. So we'll bring our arms slightly forward, feeling like we're pushing something away from us. And what we're looking for here is that our scapula is flat along the back of our rib cage and moving away from our spine. So humerus down and in, shoulder blades away from the spine. And then from here, we're going to do an isometric movement where we imagine like our forearms are magnetized towards each other. So feeling like our thumbs are drawing a little bit closer together, but the arms don't move. Shoulders down and in, press something away, magnetize the forearms. And then from here, imagine there's a light on the front of the chest, and we're illuminating something that's out in front. So we have to shine our chest forward. Again, settle here as we're seated, but it'll make more sense in our plank pose. Okay, relax that there. It's a lot of engagement in the arms. Take a breath, and then we'll try that together. So from here, take the arms up about shoulder height, and then hug the upper arm bone down and in. Press something away from you, shoulder blades away from the spine. Magnetize the forearms together, shine the sternum forward. See if you can hold that for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let it go. Give the wrists a little bit of a shake, give the forearms a shake. And then we're gonna try it in a tabletop pose from here. So coming onto hands and knees. And for this first one, we'll keep our knees underneath our hips and we'll move them back to add more weight to the upper body after. So my hands are pressing down on the floor, fingers are spread wide, so I have a nice firm base here, and the hands can be about shoulder distance apart or wider. Choice is yours. And then from here, let's see if we can integrate those movements. So humerus down and into the socket. Start to feel the engagement all around our shoulder blades there. And then we move our shoulder blades away from the spine. So really feel like you're pressing something away now that you have something underneath the hands. And then from there, magnetize the forearms together, shine the sternum forward. See if you can hold this for 3, 2, and 1. Keep holding now. Bring your awareness to the spine and notice if you integrated an arch in the spine. We're going to correct that in a moment, but just make your way back into a seat. So we'll try that again, bring our awareness to the spine. Because what can happen is as we're moving our shoulder blades, it can start to feel a little bit like cat and cow. So again, we're just creating this muscle movement here because cat and cow feels really nice sometimes for our spine. So hug the humerus into the socket, press something away from you, magnetize the forearms towards each other, and then keep the tailbone slightly tucking under. So pubic bone towards the front ribs, and then bring the chest forward. So it's subtle. We're looking forward, and then this time we'll try to bend our elbows. So bend the elbows maybe about an inch or 2, and then press yourself back up. Maybe try that one more time and notice the sense of stability that you felt in the shoulders. All right, take a moment to sit back. And then we'll do this again, but from a little bit more of a low plank position. So I'm sliding my hands forward, and this time instead of my knees being underneath the hips, I'm gonna walk them back a little bit. So if I was to come up to plank here to do my chaturanga, I'm just lowering my knees down. So trying that again, those cues. Hug the upper arm bone in, press something away from you, shoulder blades away from the spine, magnetize forearms together, and then shine the sternum forward. From here, once again, we'll try to bend the elbows, lower down, hugging the elbows in close by the sides. And then notice here, we only lower down to elbow height or higher. Press yourself back up, and then sit back on the heels. Giving those cues a moment just to settle in the body. We'll do another little drill here that can help us connect to the shoulder blade movement, our scapular movement. So coming back into that hands and knees position, knees are slightly back. We're gonna do some push-ups here, but just with our shoulder blades. So everything else stays the same. Long spine, look towards the top edge of your mat. And then from here, we'll bring our shoulder blades closer together. And then exhale, press something away from you, shoulders come apart. Trying that a couple times. It's subtle, so you might not see it on the video here, but as we inhale, bring the inner border of the shoulder blades together, closer to the spine, and then exhale, press something away from you. Try that a few more times. Starting to connect here to the warmth along the sides of our rib cage. That's what we're looking for. Perfect. Okay, let that go. Sit back on the heels. Take a moment. And then we'll link that all together, coming into one round of Sun A, just to see how it feels in our flow. So when you're ready, come to stand at the top of your mat. Feet can be about hip distance apart. And then take your inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, join the palms together, and then fold forward. Inhale to lift halfway, hands to the shin, long spine. And then exhale, plant the hands, walk one foot back and then the other, come into a high plank. Lower the knees down, and then see if you can bring in those cues here. Lowering halfway down, and then press yourself back up, downward facing dog. Take a breath in, exhale, let it go. And then we'll try one more time from our high plank. So inhale, rock forward to your plank. Adding in one more layer here for our chaturanga. So hug the upper arm bones in, press something away from you, shoulder blades away from the spine. Magnetize the forearms towards each other, shining the sternum forward. And this time we scoot forward on the toes. So when we're in our high plank, scoot forward on the toes. Exhale, bend the elbows to lower halfway. Press yourself back up. Downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Exhale, let it go.
And then inhale, walk the feet towards the hands, come towards a forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway, lengthen. Exhale, release, fold forward. Inhale to rise, come all the way back up to standing, and then take the hands to the heart. In Tadasana here, bring the awareness to the shoulders here. Notice where they are in relation to the rest of your body. Noticing here if you feel any sensations that are new to you. Noticing areas that stand out. And those that you might not feel anything at all. Take another breath in. Exhale, make your way back down into a seat. So from here, we went through our Chaturanga. We talked about those 4 cues to keep in mind as we go through our pose, and some ways to play around with our Chaturanga depending on how we feel that day. So either having knees down or having the knees lifted. Keeping in mind, both of those options are available to you, especially as you're learning. So knees down reduces the weight that's on the upper body. So that might give us a little bit more range of motion, a little bit more space to play around with that mindfulness. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to keep practicing, go back to the start and practice those cues once again. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again